Hi folks, back again. Mops. Beginners painting with mop brushes. Now I can count myself in with that, so with those who are trying their hardest to make these things work. I'm a hake painter, as you know, both large and the medium hake, but doesn't do to have a go at other things. I've never persevered with these things long enough to get any proficiency with them. But there we are. Look, this is the first one I bought in France, £25, 20 years ago. Try to think what it would cost now. A smaller squirrel mop, Pro Art. That's probably number 6. I don't know, might be number 4. Larger one there. Oops, where are we? There. Good to occasionally dip them in water. Otherwise, the bristles tend to get a little bit brittle and break off. And there's this one. This is the one I'm going to use. It's a goat hair, whereas these are squirrel, which are lovely, but they were made for a purpose other than fine art painting. They were developed for French polishing mops. Right, okay, so let's. So I'm not going to wet the paper all over. I'm just going to put some paint on and see where we go from. So let's have a bit of blue. Bit of red. Not going to too much of that. The sky. It's going to be a tree painting mainly, but a beginner's guide to tree painting with mops. So let's just. And then we'll put in some ochre, not ochre, some sienna, raw sienna. Let's just get a little bit of that up here. Put blue back in, maybe just here, just drop it in. Alright, so what happens with that. Okay, now I'm just going to just finish off down the bottom here, just to. Then I've got the whole paper wetted and it will expand uniformly. And I can just re-clip it. Let's just work away at that, just get that. Okay, I'm not really at home with the mops, I must say. Having done hundreds or thousands of painting with the hakes, because the hakes are brilliant for texturing. But anyway, this is a beginner's guide. You can see what I've done. I've just got a lot of colour in the brush and just washed it on, and then added colours so that the whole paper gets a uniform sort of treatment. But remember, the blue and the red make a good grey, but you can use paint spray, of course. I'll give that a dry just to fix it, and then we can carry on with some autumny colours. going to paint up into that sky, so I wasn't too careful about it. I must be more careful about my cup of tea, which is getting cold here. Alright, now where's that brush I was using? Here we are. Give it a bit of a clean. And we can put some background colours in. My background colours for distant trees is a blue and Payne's grey. Plenty of lubrication. Okay, so let's too much water. Okay, there's the background. I can just go behind here. I'm not a lover of, well, a lover of alizarin. I don't use it a lot, but it's good as a background colour mixed with ultramarine. Just give a bit of a warm glow. Okay, so this is just background. Don't overwork it. Now, nice bit of cad yellow now, but a touch of blue. Get a bit of more blue in there. Get some nice warmer colours in the foreground here. Warm colours in the foreground, cool colours like the blues and the bluey greens in the distance. Let's add a little bit of Payne's grey and a bit of burnt sienna. Right, okay, let's do similar to the other side. This is the edge of the brush. Maybe use all of it, don't use just the tip. In fact, I don't use the tip a lot anyway. This is where you get your texture, and you're dragging your dry brush effect. Bike ride, if we're going at some rough, it's not raining. Today is the first bit of sun we've had since Friday. Been a right miserable, rainy and flooded in France. Around Nice, we've been to there, into those out Maritime, and we were about 40 odd kilometres, 48 kilometres up in the village Perche. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful. Okay, a bit of dry brush going in there. Well, that's a bit dry. That's not quite dry. Let's see if it scrapes out. No, I'll dry that off and have a swig of the tea. Now there's a lot of water on that, and there's probably still a bit damp in there, but let's put in some nice autumn colours now. So plenty of burnt sienna. And just showing the shape of the foliage on this tree, or the twiggy bits anyway. Add a bit of Payne's grey in there. Get a bit of shadow. Let's cover some of that up there. Yeah, I'll bite the way tomorrow if it's reasonable, but we can go through some mud. But keeps us young and lively. Okay, so we get some detail over there. See, that's dry brushing okay there. I'll put in a few chunks in this as well. Now fewer on this side, only fewer trees. Right, we'll get some darks in there now. Burnt sienna and a bit of ultramarine. Just creating an illusion of detail using light and dark, different colours. Alright, let's get a good green now. Oh, it just adds a bit of an impression of lots going on, bit of dry brush, bit of roughage. Sort of autumn has caught up with us after a very good summer, I must say, in my bit of South London, suburbs. It's been really good. Managed to cook outside most days on my gas barbie that somebody gave me that they didn't get on with it. So they gave it to me. And I've used it ever for the past year. Alright, okay, let's get a bit brighter stuff here. Just set in any old dark off the palette. Just give it a bit of shadow. Right, and a bit of dry brush now. I can put a bit of stuff back in the foreground. Let that dry. Then we can drink our tea, which I forget. I've lost the count of the number of cups of tea that have gone cold. Okay, now I haven't used these mops for months. I can't remember when, but I've got my little tiny mop here. Oh, let's do background to begin with. Bit of ivy and stuff in it. Well, just using the edge of the brush, you get that lovely effect. Now it will depend on the paper. Right, so I'll do some in there now. So my dark is Payne's grey. Well, so a bit of green in there. That was a lot of water, this little brush. It wasn't cheap, but art materials aren't cheap, are they? So if you want to contribute to my expenses, you can go on Etsy or support me on Patreon. I'm waiting for a couple of tubes of Winton Viridian. Now, branches get thin right at the ends, and they're thick more or less most of the way. You wouldn't think so, but you have a look. Have a look at an oak tree. Those thick branchery. Right, okay, well that'll do. We'll put a bit of darker stuff in there. Let's go over the other side, start here. Great thing about doing autumn trees is that you can actually see the branches, because a lot of the leaves have shriveled, fallen off, or in the process of. I'm sort of remembering their bike ride every week through the River Wandle, along the River Wandle, which is a beautiful little river that was ecologically dead in 1966, but because of tireless work by the agencies, the water authorities and volunteers, it's now teeming with fish, This does take a little bit of time, but I'm trying to, as I go along, I'm lifting the brush slightly to get a thinner line. Oh, they're nice, lovely trees. Just put in some extra bits here, just to give the impression of something going on. Just give plenty of ivy. Okay, that's got a bit, well, I'll just go back and do a little bit of dry brush on this water here. Oh, a little bit of texture. Yeah. I've got a good bit of dark. bit in here. Disguise your bits that you don't like. It's all about sorting out problems that you've caused. Where you've got the oasis where you've gone over a wash at the wrong time, and you get all these sort of dodgy bits. Well, I'm going to give that a try. I just want to do something with that there. So take your headphones off. Go. I find texturing with these mops much more difficult than with the hakes, but it's what you get used to, really. But I know when I first used a hake, when I first saw a Ron Ransom video, I was absolutely knocked out by it. But it took me quite a bit of practice before I became reasonably proficient with it. See, look, bit of undergrowth. Bit dark there, but never mind. Okay, put a bird or two in. Sign your work. You might think it's horrible, your own work, but someone else will like it. You're never the best judge of your work, because the stuff that you throw away, and I've done it loads of times, painted over. So, well, I like that. Have you still got it? No. Oh, I would have bought that. But there comes a time where you end up with about 3,000 paintings and no room to paint anymore. Right, okay, so let's put that in a mount. If you've got any queries about it, just leave them on YouTube. I know it's a bit muddy, but there we are. Right, let's take you up, take a little ride. Well, there we are. So another scene, but painted with mops. Simple sky. You don't want an elaborate sky with an elaborate landscape. Otherwise, they compete with each other. Right, well, I hope you like it and get something from it. I'll see you soon. Thanks for looking in, guys. Goodbye.